Hello, everybody. It is Thursday, May the 7th, and I have to tell you right off the top that I'm extremely proud of the way that staff have transitioned to this new COVID world. Right from the start, they've been so accommodating and professional. It almost seemed seamless. I know from talking to residents that they can still call customer service. Everything seems to be working as if Town Hall was still open. And really who we have to thank for that is the leader of the team, CAO Jason Rayner. And Jason, tell me what it's been like transferring into this new world.
Thanks very much, and thanks for having me, Mayor Dolan. Appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and the community. Yeah, it's been an interesting transition to being able to provide all of the services that the community needs that we've been permitted to under the emergency orders as much as possible. As you said, very, very proud of our staff for being flexible and agile to deliver services remotely, virtually, or continuing to deliver the same kind of service. I think of fire and some operations, but with very significantly enhanced safety protocols, both for our staff, but also for the community, to keep the community members safe that they may be interacting with. So as we think about, what will happen as we ramp up, we are, doing really good work and important planning around how to keep people safe as we move forward. So what happens when you come into the town hall, when the town hall is opened up? It won't be just like it was pre-COVID. We will have protocols in place and policies and procedures to try to protect you, the community member who's going to be interacting with us and coming into the community spaces, but also to keep our staff safe as well. And there's lots of good kind of best practices out there that people are developing and learning what works well, what doesn't, where can you have people lining up, where can you not. And, we're doing the planning for this over the long haul. We don't think it's going to be over in a few weeks. So what does it look like when you've got, pretty terrible weather? How can you have people actually lining up? It can't just be outside. So thinking through a lot of those challenges that may be facing us as we begin our ramp up. As you know, Your Worship, we've had to scale back a number of our services as well. I think of our horticultural program, and we have such beautiful flowers that would typically adorn our town hall and down in Alcona area. And we've had to scale back a lot of those programs because we've had to cut back on our staffing to manage the costs and the loss of revenues. And so we will not be able to reintroduce some of those services at sort of the snap of a finger. Some will be able to rev up to, and others will just not happen this year, just because we haven't been able to hire those staff in time. But really impressed with the way the community has also rallied around people's needs and what we can do to help each other. I think the entire organization, the entire One Town, One Team is really interested in knowing what those community needs are going to be, not just tomorrow, but weeks and months from now, and how can we pivot our services and our programs to be able to meet those needs. I think as council considers, the strategic direction for the community, it will be with a COVID lens now that we're looking at all of our programs, our services, and the direction and the vision we're headed into. I don't think that means everything has to change, but it does mean that we want to be smart about it and we want to be safe.
Thanks. And I know that both you and I sit on outside committees that where we get to have access to different provincial ministries. So, but even with that, we've had no word yet as to, what date this can open and what date that can open. I know there's a lot of people who would love for us to just say, well, as of such and such a date, that's going to happen. We are under the provincial order and we have to comply with that, as do all municipalities. But tell us a little bit about what kind of planning we're doing for that, what the Premier loves to call a cautious and measured reopening.
Yeah, it's a great point, Mayor Dolan, because unlike other provinces where they have set the date and they're all everybody's working to make that happen by a certain date, I think our province is saying, look, let's be very careful about this. Let's phase it in, and let's do that in a measured approach. And so we are doing the same kind of planning. So we do not expect to suddenly open all the facilities and all the parks and have all of the staff back in working in the same small cubicle space that they were before. We are imagining that there's going to have to be a phase up there. So certain staff will return that need to be in the office and helping the public and serving the public. But to give you one small example, our Idea Lab staff would have typically not had a desk that they worked from because they wanted to interact with the community and be out there on the floor, trying to help people navigate either the Hack Lab or the Digital Media Lab. But they will likely need a space now that does provide that physical distancing, so that it can be maintained while they're trying to work with people. So lots of thinking that's going into how we reimagine our spaces and our services and our programs to meet the community's needs. And we really appreciate their patience. We know people are frustrated with the length of time that this is taking and the uncertainty of exactly, when we're going to be able to get things back to as close to normal as we can. So we appreciate their patience, but everybody wants this to be done right so that we don't sort of overindulge, is that the right term? And all of a sudden end up having to scale way back again because we see another spike in community transmission. So want to keep that curve flat, and if anything, see it fall. And the only way that's going to happen is if we're all patient and take our time with this.
Thanks, Jason, and thank you for your leadership. I was really pleased yesterday to participate in our third all staff meeting, over 200 people on the call, and we had some frontline staff telling us about their experiences, and I couldn't be more proud of how everybody's doing that one town, one team, and cross-functioning and looking out to help each other. And I think that speaks highly of your leadership. So thank you, and very much for that. And we'll keep going forward, and that council will be happy to provide a path forward for staff. And we look forward very much to getting back to as near normal as we can. So thanks, everybody, and we'll talk again on Friday.